20 years ago, a PCA member was looking for quality finished 914 calipers. There really wasn't a solution, so he went out and embarked on the solution himself. Fast forward to today, I present to you PMB Performance here in Murray, Utah. We're gonna take you through the process of how you take a dirty, old, grimy caliper such as this and take it through the ringers and come out with a perfectly restored one. Be sure to log into your YouTube account, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a video.
Welcome to PMB Performance. We're going to basically show you how it's done here today. I started the business roughly going on 20 years ago. I was on the message boards out there. You know, everybody was at that time. Who rebuilds these rear calipers for these 914s? Nobody did. People were getting the wrong caliper. I ordered them, I got the wrong caliper. And what was really interesting was I had just finished restoring this 911, so I had a really good relationship with the metal plater in town. And I thought, well, I've got an extra pair. I was building my 914 at the time. I had if you're doing that, you have to have a parts car. So I had a parts car, and so I had an extra set of calipers. So let me tackle it. So I grabbed some seals. I reached out to my plater friend and I said, hey, can you plate these calipers up for me? And he's like, yeah, sure. Put them together. There's a little how-to video online from a guy named Birdman out there who's doing it with these Ferrari calipers. So I kind of followed along there. I kind of did my own thing. I plated them, I used factory seals, and I put them up for sale in the classified section of 914, what is now 914world.com. And the old saying is, in 15 minutes they were sold. In 15 minutes later, I had an order for 6 more. So we were firmly in business, and that was the garage, of course. You know, start the business in the garage. So I always worked in my 2 passions. So that's one thing that I've been blessed with. I worked in the music industry for roughly 38 years or so, and I'd moved out here to Salt Lake to be a national sales manager for a Fortune 500 company. And I was doing that during the day, and I was building calipers in my garage at night. So I'd come home at 5 o'clock, I'd start building calipers, and 11 o'clock, my wife would bang on the door. It's like, are you gonna come to bed? And so that's how the business got started. And then here we are today. We now have 15 employees, and we're open for business. So what we'll do now, we'll take you on a little nickel tour and go in the back and show you how we do calipers. Come on in. So this is the first step in the process. What we do here, this is shipping and receiving, but this is the receiving step of the process. Over here, Christian is basically, we will get online forms, and they will go right to his email here. And then when the calipers come in, he'll match the online form with the customer's calipers, and then he'll create an invoice over here and basically marry the data together. The online form's kind of a really good step. They don't have to do that, but that's a really good step because that gives us all the data that we need right there. So the calipers come in, they look all greasy, grungy, and all that kind of stuff. So what we'll do is we will fill out a sheet, a tag, we'll put it on the crate, and this tag will follow these calipers through the process. So we're going to now get these in the process of teardown, and we move to the next station, teardown. So right now we're creating invoices and getting this all set up in the system, and we go to teardown. So here in teardown, this is a special area where you can see we've got a dedicated bench for this. We've got a drain in here. Fluids don't compress, so what we use water here to pop pistons out. Now, not on the 914 calipers, these are gear driven, etc. But every other caliper out there, we'll use a hydropneumatic pump, and we'll literally pump water into the caliper to get the pistons out. This will get even the most stubborn piston out. If it doesn't, it'll blow up the caliper. We've done that a couple times, but water gets the pistons out, and we take them down to the bare metal castings, and away we go. Now that we're done tearing the calipers apart, we've got them hanging here. We're actually in the plating room, and what we're going to do here, we're going to dip these in a hydrochloric acid, and that's called pickling. What that does, it's going to get all the grease and all the grime and all the brake fluid, residue, all that kind of stuff off the caliper, and it turns it into kind of a powder, and it makes the next step pretty easy. The next step is media blasting.
Okay, we're here in the media blasting room. It's a little noisy, but this is the next step where we'll take a pickled caliper and we're going to media blast it down to bare metal. So when Bert's done, we're going to have a pristine caliper, just the way it would have come out of the casting at the factory.
Okay, back to the plating room. So we just saw the media blasting. One thing you might have noticed was Bert, media blaster, was handling that caliper with his bare hands. So we all have oil on our hands and things like that. So the actual first step now when we come into plating is to clean the calipers in a mild hydrochloric solution, not the heavy stuff we pickled them in earlier. This is just a mild hydrochloric that's going to get all the fingerprints off, all the grime off, gets the caliper body pristine before it goes into the zinc plating bath in the corner. Okay, now the calipers are in the actual zinc solution. So this is kind of where the magic happens. So here we have a positive anode, and here we have a negative anode. That's these copper bars that we see here. On the positive anodes, we have these titanium baskets that are holding little zinc balls. They're about the size of a golf ball, but it's pure zinc. The solution is a mildly acidic solution, so the zinc kind of melts off of the zinc balls here in this solution, positively charged, negatively charged here. It's now being pulled and attracted to those caliper bodies here. So the caliper bodies will sit in the zinc for roughly 20 to 30 minutes. So what we'll do about midway through, now we'll flip these over, turn them the opposite direction, but we have zinc on both sides here, and we have the negative anodes in the center here. So calipers hang here, and this is for steel calipers. When we look at painted calipers, we'll talk about anodizing. That's what we do with the aluminum calipers. But for the steel calipers, we're going to do zinc plating, and this is really the most crucial step of the entire rebuild process. We also do zinc plating just for customers who want to build their own calipers. It's so important that you zinc plate the calipers. We'll offer a zinc plating service just for people that want to zinc plate, have us zinc plate their calipers so they can build them themselves. So this is the next step of the process. Believe it or not, when they come out of the zinc, it's really kind of lackluster. It's not what you're thinking, you know, it's still just kind of a gray finish on the outside. But what he's doing is here, he's rinsing these off. Now this is where the magic's going to happen. He's going to go in the dichromate, and he's looking up at the clock. It's really only like a 15 or 20 second dip. And believe it or not, this is the part where we get the factory finish. You can imagine the factory didn't have a guy over here doing this. This was all an automated process, and it was done on an assembly line. So they were in a hurry to get these made. They weren't in a hurry to make them super pretty or anything. They're going to get dried off. So basically he's using the air to get all of the moisture off, and then he's going to set them in the drying cabinet. And this step prevents any spotting. You've probably seen it before in other zinc where you have spotting. And this is the oven that sets the dichromate. So once we put the dichromate finish on, we'll set it up here in the oven, and that basically kind of bakes and sets that dichromate. This is about 150 degrees in here. Not extremely hot, but it just sets it up in here. You'll see the black zinc hanging and the yellow zinc. So this is all your post dip that we saw earlier. This is black, and that's what we call yellow zinc. What we're doing here is we're taking you through the process of zinc plating a steel brake caliper. We also do the aluminum brake calipers, which has become a huge part of the business because obviously all the new cars have the Brembo calipers on them, and these are all the aluminum calipers. So aluminum gets anodized, steel gets zinc plated. So when we do an aluminum caliper, it will not go through this process. It'll come in, it will get the paint stripped off, but we retain the factory anodized finish on those aluminum calipers, and that's crucial for those calipers. Just like the zinc is a crucial part of the steel caliper, it's crucial that we maintain the integrity of the anodizing on the aluminum caliper. And we'll show you some of that a little later on here. Next step in the process is build and assembly. So after the calipers have been zinc plated, what we'll do is we will put factory seal kits on the pistons. The pistons have already been processed. This is a vibratory polish just like the factory did. We'll recoat the top with a high temp heat paint, and we are ready to assemble these. So here you can see the seals have been put inside. These are, again, our factory seals that we use. And then the next step is to press the pistons in, which we'll show you this on here. So pistons are going in, seals in first, pistons go in, then the calipers get bolted together, and there is a torque step process where we will double check the torque on every one. Then they get a torque paint applied to them, and they're ready to go out the door. All right, we just finished up a build assembly. Here's the best part of the deal. Your calipers are on their way back to you. So we are now in the shipping portion of shipping and receiving, and Christian here is going to wrap these calipers up. He's going to put them in the box. He's going to make sure there's bleeders in there. That's that. And he is going to pack that up nice and tight. Imagine shipping a bowling ball. 10 pounds isn't really that heavy, but if it's rolling around in the box and everything, it's going to destroy the box. So he's going to pack these up super, super tight in here, get the box on its way to you. And here, we're back at shipping and receiving. This is more or less our inventory section, or where we keep some of our specialty calipers. So these are our short wheelbase solution kits. These are some of the more common calipers that we keep in inventory here. So we can do it two ways. So we can do it where if you have a 1973 914 and you want the exact calipers that came on your car, we will usually have those right here on the shelf and ready to go. If you want to send your calipers in and get your calipers back, that's the process we went through here. But we have most of the common calipers here. We have A calipers for SCs and Carreras. We have 914 rears, 914 fronts. We have a lot of 356 calipers in stock as well. So a lot of these calipers we will keep on the shelf and we'll have them in stock. So a caliper order can literally go out the same day. Otherwise, you're looking at about a 3 to 5 day process for the whole zinc plating process there. Yeah, there's no doubt that the painted caliper business has become a big part of our business recently. Every new car comes with a painted Brembo caliper. And they are painted, they're not powder coated. The most important thing is to do it in a logical manner the way they did it at the factory. So what we want to do, what we do differently than everybody else out there, there's a million people out there painting or powder coating calipers. What we do differently is we maintain the factory anodized finish. So you've seen the zinc process for the steel calipers. Now we're going to maintain the anodizing. So we strip and dip the calipers. We put brand new Brembo seals inside the calipers. We do it exactly the way Brembo did it. They would take an anodized body, they would put new seals, new pistons in, then they would tape it off with the roundels that we have, and then we spray it. So this will get two-part epoxy spray. We'll put the base coat on. We will then brand the caliper. And this is not a vinyl sticker, so it doesn't bump up or anything like that. It looks exactly the way it came from the factory. So we'll brand it, and then it gets 3 coats of high temp clear on top of that. So the caliper literally looks better than the day it came off the assembly line. We have customers who are a little more critical, so when they get it out of the box, they're going to look it over and make sure there's no runs or no missing spaces. But when you see, when you go buy your new GT3, you just want to make sure it's got yellow calipers on it because that's your ceramic. So it's interesting. This is a Jeep caliper. We do all kinds of calipers here. So this is a Jeep caliper with the electronic handbrake caliper. What do we notice here though? Everybody wants their calipers painted red, right? How did that start? It started with the 928 Big Blacks, they're now calling them. But prior to it being known as the Big Black, it was just your 928 GTS caliper. Porsche takes the 993 twin turbo, decides to paint it red for their sport caliper, and the Big Red is born. When that happened, that sent performance enthusiasts out in the parking lot with a can of red spray paint to go paint every caliper on their car. So again, even the guys with Jeeps want big reds on their cars, but this is where it all started. Here's a couple unique ones. These are some of the very earliest calipers of this genre, of this era, to be put on a Porsche. So the 951, the 944 Turbo, got this caliper first, okay? And this really isn't a painted caliper. One of the differences you'll notice here, you'll see the fasteners. So the fasteners here are yellow and the fasteners here are painted. So on the very early ones, we saw a few things. We saw the embossed logo here, the milled logo. So this was cast into the caliper and then milled clean. This caliper, believe it or not, is not painted with the exception of the clear coat. So the 951 calipers were black anodized and then covered with the clear coat. So these calipers get black anodized, the logo got milled into it, and then we would cover it with the 3 coats of clear. The problem with this, when you're talking economy of scale and you're starting to build hundreds of thousands of calipers, you're going to have all these different castings. You're going to have a casting for Porsche. You're going to have a casting for Ferrari. You're going to have one for Lamborghini, for Maserati. So what they eventually did was this. They smoothed out that surface and then they started branding them separately. And this is really unique too. Check it out. It's a real funky early style branding. And we're the only people out there that have this early funky Porsche logo. Okay, it's meant to look like the milled logo we just saw, but in that form. Painted caliper, lines painted, fasteners painted. Brembo has now entered into the new era where we are today, basically. This is exactly what they're doing with the modern calipers. So this would be a later 951, 968 caliper, where the other one was early 951 for sure. Okay, hope you enjoyed the tour. We got to get back to work.